Fellow Patriot, the following presentation is highly controversial and may be shocking to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Since last night's declaration of martial law, soldiers are moving in to secure key areas in all major
The images you just saw can turn to reality faster than anyone can imagine. Your home, your family, your life can turn to dust in a split second. Now more than ever, you are face to face with the bitter end, and there's only one thing standing between you and the untimely grave closing over. Do you know what that thing is? Unfortunately, the man who discovered this piece of truth was found dead in his home, shot down together with his wife and little girl, executed in cold blood before they could even give the child her Christmas present, and left to rot in their home weeks before the neighbors found them. A real American hero who tried to expose the impeding financial collapse of the United States, a declaration of martial law, and a brutal crackdown on civil liberties in the USA. His name is now being trashed by the corrupt policemen and media who claim that his execution was just another murder-suicide. This short but shocking presentation is a wake-up plea for the entire American nation. Don't let your family be the next victim of our blood-stained mercenary government. Quit everything you're doing right now and just watch this video before it's too late. Because the devastating truth is that David Crowley and his beloved family are just another mob-style execution in a long line of government killings. When you finish watching this, you'll finally begin to understand the tragic amount of innocent lives that were taken so that the ruling class could keep their power over the American people. But most importantly, you'll know exactly what to do to never be a victim of the system in the coming collapse of our society. This short broadcast is your best chance at protecting you and your family during the imminent takeover of the American people by the corrupt Klan ruling this country. In fact, when it comes to preparedness, you can never be too prepared. However much you think you know about survival, there's always more to learn, so you should read everything that you can on the subject, and hopefully you'll get a chance to see this urgent broadcast now before it's too late. But if you dismiss the truth as just another conspiracy theory and always turn a blind eye to bad news, then this isn't for you. If you think you and your family are best prepared for any major disaster that may come, please leave now and enjoy your artificial happiness. And to those of you who think that this country is led by honorable men with nothing but your best interest in mind, best of luck. You'll desperately need it. I wished I never had to make this video. I wish you didn't have to watch it. But I sure am glad that you are right now. I wish the honest, hardworking American could just go about his daily life like he used to. But as Martin Luther King once said, our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about things that matter. There's nothing I would want more but to assure you that our government is doing its best to serve our people. But after what just happened to David Crowley and his family, I'd have to be mad to believe such a fat lie, because the undeniable proof that you're about to witness here will convince you beyond a shadow of a doubt that you need to start prepping your defense against our government's bullet with your name on it. If a U.S. Army veteran who served in Iraq and had the skills and means to protect his home was so easily wiped out, what chances does a regular American family stand during the coming government takeover? The things you'll have to do to protect yourself and your family will be extreme, but they will keep you alive. And as well, they could have protected David Crowley and his family had he known them. By now you may be wondering, who the heck is this guy to tell me all these things, and what on earth does he want with me? Fellow Patriot, you have every right to be on the lookout, and in fact, I'm damn glad that you're not one to throw his life and safety into the hands of any Joe Schmo, false internet prophet who's never seen the inside of an army tent, let alone fought in a war. These days, I go by the name Cody Hawk, and as you might have guessed, this is not my real name, but a code name that I'm using for my own protection. I'm a former member of the U.S. Army and a certified survival expert with intense military background and untethered taste of the outdoors. You might know me as the guy whom the government calls for real-world emergencies, or you might have heard about my success in helping over 460,385 families prepare and become self-sufficient in the last 3 years alone. Pay close attention to what I'm about to teach you, and you will be among the very few untouchable people in this country, one of the lucky survivors of the coming U.S. mass genocide. My friends and fellow survivalists call me the Patriot Protector, and in this knockdown broadcast, I'm going to spit in the face of FEMA and the likes who have silently killed and defamed our nation's heroes for entire decades. People like Gary Webb, the reporter who blew the whistle on CIA's involvement in cocaine trafficking into the U.S. during the Reagan administration. Gary Webb was found dead in his home with 2 gunshots in the head. The officials ruled this as being a suicide. The sheer brazen gall of the Sacramento County Coroner's Office to state, "It's unusual in a suicide case to have 2 shots, but it's been done in the past, and it is in fact a distinct possibility," is disgusting. Yes, it's been done in the past on many occasions, all of which happen to have taken place in Arkansas. The many deaths of prominent political figures linked to Bill Clinton's scandals in the 90s and how their obvious murders were always ruled as an accident or suicide became known as Arkancide because Clinton's favorite coroner, Fahmy Malak, helped him cover up every case. Here's a list of some of the Arkancide discoveries since then. Vincent Foster. Official cause of death? Suicide. Scores of anomalies remain despite 2 investigations. White House engaged in major obstruction of investigation, including refusing to allow police officers to search office. Some experts consider Foster's suicide note to be a forgery. Jim McDougal. Cause of death? Heart attack. Heart attack. Serious health problems. Died while in solitary. On 12 medications. Unusual Prozac level found during autopsy. Questions about other drugs given, including Lasix, which is contradicted for heart patients. Despite being key witness against Clinton, had been treated at a welfare hospital. Barbara Wise. Cause of death unknown. Commerce Department, International Trade Administration, Secretary and Associate of John Huang, found bruised and partially nude in a locked office at Commerce. Cause of death unknown. Brian D. Haney, William S. Barkley Jr., Tim Sable, Scott J. Reynolds. Cause of death? Air crash. Clinton bodyguards. Helicopter crash in the woods near Quinticto, VA. Reporters barred from sight, but fire department chief reported security tight with lots of Marines with guns. Videotape made by firefighter seized by the Marines. William Colby. Cause of death? Drowning. Colby's death, allegedly while canoeing, raises a number of questions. For example, the retired CIA head had left his home unlocked, his computer on, and a partly eaten dinner on the table. Colby had recently become an editor of Strategic Investment, which was doing investigative reporting on Vince Foster's death. Gandhi Bao. Cause of death? Suicide. Attorney who had represented Clinton buddy and drug distributor Dan Lassiter allegedly jumped to his death. Baugh's law partner committed suicide 1 month later. Dr. Ronald Rogers. Cause of death? Plane crash. Plane crashed while this Arkansas dentist was on his way to an interview with a London Telegraph reporter covering the Clinton scandals. Plane went down far off its planned route after generator overheated. Kathy Ferguson, ex-wife of Arkansas trooper Danny Ferguson, was found dead on May 1994 in her living room with a gunshot to her head. It was ruled a suicide even though there were several packed suitcases as if she were going somewhere. Danny Ferguson was a co-defendant along with Bill Clinton in the Paula Jones lawsuit. Kathy Ferguson was a possible corroborating witness for Paula Jones. 31-year-old Bill Shelton was a police officer in Sherwood, Arkansas, and engaged to Kathy Ferguson. It was in his apartment that she was found dead. He is one of many of her friends who felt that Ferguson did not commit suicide and that the coroner's report was not accurate about her wound being self-inflicted. He was found a month later sprawled over her grave with a gunshot wound to his head that was similar to what the coroner had described as Ferguson's wound. James Millam had information on the Ives Henry case and was found decapitated. However, the coroner ruled that his death was due to natural causes. But this list is far from being complete, and the pattern here is transparent. Just like it happened to Philip Marshall, a veteran airline captain and former government special activities contract pilot. Retired United Airlines captain Philip Marshall became an irritant to the Central Intelligence Agency and its favorite kingdom, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, with his constant unraveling of the Saudi government's connections to the 9/11 attack and his subsequent promise to expose even more shocking information about the 9/11 attack. Just like David Crowley and his family, Philip and his 2 teenage kids were killed in their home in what officials ruled as a murder-suicide. What did all these people murdered by the government have in common? Truth. Truth about what's coming. The truth about our corrupt politicians. And they also had the means to go public with their findings. They had credibility. But what did David Crowley discover? That even the mere fact of turning it into a feature film threatened our government so much as to order him and his family dead? Some of the facts have long stared us in the face, but the corrupt media managed to put a smokescreen in front of our eyes and cover up stuff like this. Jim Rickards, the financial threat and warfare advisor for the CIA, tells Monday Morning, "Everybody knows we have a dangerous level of debt. Everybody knows the Fed has recklessly printed trillions of dollars, but all signs are now flashing bright red that our chickens are about to come home to roost. Americans should be preparing for a $100 trillion financial catastrophe." This is one of the top minds in the American intelligence community making this alarming prediction, not some conspiracy theory crackhead. When Rickards speaks, the CIA listens, and he just said, "We're heading for a sure fall, by far the worst in our history." We all know a crisis is coming, and yet we fail to see that it has already started. Whenever the right elements come together, collapse is the only possible outcome, and all of those elements are in play right now. You have overwhelming natural debt, rising food and fuel costs, rising unemployment, violent protests spreading like wildfire. It's all happening right now. But even Rickards admits he is surprised at how fast the economic situation is unfolding. Rickards says, if anything, the tempo of events is faster than expected. It's not as if we are going to make some mistakes and some bad things are going to happen. The mistakes have already been made. The instability is already in the system. We're just waiting for the catalyst that starts the avalanche. If you think that you're prepared for an unholy mess that may come, here is the terrifying truth. Most of your possessions, like your house, food supplies, they will be useless if you don't prepare for the Armageddon that's coming our way. Because the gut-wrenching truth is that this time, we'll be fighting against our biggest and meanest enemy ever, our own government. According to this article in the Washington Post, the real terrorists are the ones running this country. America is the largest sponsor of terrorism in the world and is terrorizing its own people into compliance and dulcity by spying on all Americans, using Homeland Security law to crush dissidents, labeling peaceful protest as terrorism, threatening to indefinitely detain American citizens without cause and without any due process, and even threatening to kill any U.S. citizen on a whim. With the NSA apparatus tracking most of our email accounts, web pages, phone calls, you name it, we have just a few months left as free people. And the America you grew up in has already been replaced by a police state whose oppression is getting stronger by the day. According to the Washington Post, the NSA is collecting around 5 billion records a day about who we are, where we live, who our friends are, and everything else we hold to be private. They know your political beliefs. They know who you vote for. If you don't know this already, any person owning a registered gun is already on Uncle Sam's most wanted list. So if you or any member of your family made the mistake of registering any old gun, I'm going to teach you the one thing you can do today to cross your family's name off that list. When our dollar won't be worth the paper that it's even printed on, this little piece of information is going to be your ace up your sleeve to help you fend off the military police coming to seize your guns, your food supply, your house, your freedom. If you don't want to end up in a FEMA camp or at the mercy of the unleashed hungry mobs, here's a quick warning for you. During my military career, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of high-ranking state officers and decorated military officers, all great people who knew a lot of state secrets. I have a lot of friends in the Army who've started noticing that something really bad is going on, like this retired Marine.
I was a colonel. I'm a retired colonel in the Marine Corps. When I was in Iraq, I was in charge. I was the Ministry of Defense coordinator. My job was to man, train, and equip the Iraqi army in Al-Anbar, Najaf, Karbala, and northern Babil provinces. And I can tell you right now, Homeland Security would kick their butts in a week. What's happening here is we're building a domestic military because it's unlawful or unconstitutional to use American troops on American soil. So what we're doing is we're building a military. It's called task organization. You take a command and then you attach units to it in order to accomplish the mission. What's happening is Homeland Security is pre-staging gear, equipment, consistent. What they're trying to do is use standardized vehicles, standardized equipment. I saw a picture in the Boston Globe during the marathon bombing where there was a state police officer. Actually, there were two officers. They both had identical helmets, flak jackets, weapons, everything I wore in Iraq, only it was all blue. The officer on one side had a big patch on his back that said Massachusetts State Police. Another officer next to him, his patch said Boston Police. And so what we're doing here, and let's not kid about it, we're building a domestic army and we're shrinking the military because the government is afraid of its own citizens. The last time more than 10 terrorists were in the same place at one time was September 11th, and all these vehicles in the world wouldn't have prevented it, nor would it have helped anybody. So I don't know where we're going to use this many vehicles and this many troops. Concord is just one little cog in the wheel. We're building an army over here, and I can't believe that people aren't seeing it. Is everybody blind?
Face it, the government knows what's coming, and they're preparing. If you don't know it already, the Department of Homeland Security has just bought large stockpiles of ammunition days before legislation was introduced that would restrict the amount a government agency can legally buy. No wonder FEMA has long ago started to seek contractors who can supply biohazard disposal facilities and 40-yard dumpsters to 1,000 tents across the U.S. with 24 to 48 hours notice. Fellow patriot, it's time for you to wake up, see the terrifying truth, and do the right thing before disaster strikes. But right now, if you're puzzled by the seeming lack of alternatives, you're not alone. I lost countless nights trying to figure out how to survive and protect my family from what I know for sure is going to be the worst time in our history. And for the past 3 years, I've worked very hard to prepare as many people as I could so that they can protect themselves, their families, and their community without relying on anyone but themselves. But this is something I never ever shared with anyone before. These 3 secrets will allow you to protect your home, your family, your life better than a president's personal guard would protect him. I didn't think I'd ever share them to anyone, but the horror of what's coming, the brutal killings of our government spreading like wildfire among the heroes of our nation, they made me realize that if I don't share this with my trusted patriot community, I could end up being the only survivor in the new world order that is to come. As you can imagine, that is not what I want. I want my kids and your kids and their kids to have a future in this country. I want them to be free, and I don't want anybody taking that away from them. People die for freedom every day in some part of the world. And David Crowley, his wife, and his innocent daughter, they died for freedom. For our freedom. He once said that even though you may be killed resisting, the act of resistance on a metaphysical level has value. But what I'm asking you today is don't die for freedom. Stay alive and defend it for as long as you can. To all our forefathers, to all our heroes who died protecting our rights, to all of them, we owe to live, to stay alive and defend this country from the unruly hordes trying to hijack this powerful nation. This is our only chance to prevail as a God-chosen nation by not allowing ourselves to be defeated by the devil-poisoned monsters who rule our country. And don't try to BS yourself into thinking that it's not as bad as it looks. I can tell you from experience, wishful thinking never got me anywhere. I'm a man of action, and through action and many years of training, I've come to be the survival expert that I am now. And now, I want to help you get there way faster than I did, because there's no greater feeling in the world than knowing you can protect your family from any disaster. So with that in mind, I created Guerrilla Home Defense, the ultimate long-term defense against all enemies. A simple system that anyone can follow to make sure you are never left unprepared. Every skill, every tactic, and every survival secret you need is in our complete survival package, Gorilla Home Defense. You'll benefit from all my hard work and experience, but without having to go through hell and back like I have. This is the ultimate survivalist field reference book, which simply shows you all the survival skills you need to survive with your family through any crisis, even if you're 80 years old and you can't even lift a rifle anymore. With your family's faith in you and the knowledge and survival skills that I will teach you, you too can become a survival expert, envied by even someone like Bear Grylls and Les Stroud. You will not find another survival system like this anywhere else in the entire United States. And to be sure no rotten apple gets his hands on these secrets that I've kept for over 10 years, I made this video available by invitation only. So if you're seeing this, it means you're one of my trusted people, and I do have just one thing to ask of you. Keep this a secret for as long as you can, and only use this information to save the lives of your loved ones and the ones you trust. Gorilla Home Defense System shows you all the easy steps to having a house safer than a bunker so that you'll be indestructible in the comfort of your very own home. No one gets in, no one gets out unless you want them to. How to fireproof your house, every inch of it, including the windows and doors. This is an inexpensive method, and you can actually have a fun time with your kids painting the walls with this special paint that prevents them from catching fire. Your family will be safe from fires, safe from looters, safe from the government. Your basic human needs will never be violated. I'll show you how to ditch what you have now for the only gun that outperforms them all. You'll never quite run out of bullets for this one. And warning, it's deadlier and messier than an AA-2 automatic shotgun, and it never backfires. Once you know how to choose the right weapon and know how to use it when someone tries to attack you, you'll always be the one left standing. This is what will get you out when the military police comes for your guns, and there's no way they can see this coming. They'll run from your house covered in shame, never to come back. They'll even try and cut a deal with you, and I'll share some of the tricks on how to make the best of this opportunity. Gorilla Home Defense will keep you and your family safe from curfews, rationing of basic goods, enforced relocations, confiscation of firearms and supplies, and summary arrest execution by soldiers, paramilitary police, and other jackbooted types wielding assault rifles. I realize that facing the harsh reality is a bitter pill to swallow. Maybe you'd rather ignore it, but the truth is that if you actually care about your family, then you should know what's coming and how to prepare. So stop trying to convince yourself that the sky is blue. It's time to step up, discover the truth, and find out how to stay alive. Grab now the life raft that I'm throwing you, and when our society falls down like domino pieces, you will master the ultimate strategy for surviving any FEMA attack, riot, or civil war. I'll show you what you need to do in the next 9 days to ensure that you and your family not only survive, but actually rise to the top of a destroyed society where people will end up killing their pets for food or eating cockroaches and other disgusting things just to survive for one more day. But that's not all. When you finish watching this short presentation, you'll know something very few men know on this planet, and information that can save many lives and could have spared some of our truth-fighting heroes had they known this. And that is one of the reasons I decided to step up and finally reveal this secret defense method that I've kept for more than 10 years. By doing this, I pray to God that no more innocent lives will fall prey to this rotten clan of politicians and business empire jerks. When all hell breaks loose, you will think back to this moment and thank God you had the chance to take advantage of this life-saving offer. But it's urgent you act today. Like Jim Rickard said earlier, a 25-year Great Depression is virtually a certainty. You have to put on your seatbelt before the car accident. Once it happens, it's too late. Same thing with preparation. John F. Kennedy was right when he said, "There are risks and costs to a program of action, but they are far less than the long-range risks and costs of comfortable inaction." Which brings me to the value of the Gorilla Home Defense. This is my top secret, extremely valuable information. Even the fact that I'm sharing it with you puts my life in danger, and that's why I'm forced to restrict this video to a one-time broadcast only. Not to mention, it'll be safer for all of us if only the good ones get their hands on this hot home defense material. As you might imagine, coming up with a fair price was a real issue for me. What is it worth to have the peace of mind that this life-saving system will give you? What is it worth to know that your kids won't go hungry and your home will be a safe haven for everybody that you care about? If I price it too low, you'll think that it's not as valuable as it really is. If the price is too high, then the millions of people who truly need this won't be able to afford it. So I decided to take the middle ground here and make sure that money won't stand in the way of your secure and happy future. Because I know in my heart that every decent American out there deserves a chance to save himself and his family. With that in mind, I'm going to go the extra mile here for you and give you the Gorilla Home Defense System, not for the regular price of $97 that more than 21,980 people have paid for it so far, but for less than half, only $47, when you hit the button below this video, now. This is a limited Patriots discount, and it comes with an even more generous proposal. If you send us your valued feedback on our product, we'll cut the price even more. You'll have a full 60 days to put this to work and send us your opinion, and then you only pay $39. If you want to keep your preparations a secret, you don't want to give us your opinion, then we respect that, and we'll let you have the 5 guides and the free bonus at $47 discounted price. But whatever you choose, when you order today, you will not have to pay the full $97 amount. This complete package covers all aspects of survival in an easy-to-apply survival system so that you never get overloaded by a bunch of useless info. It's the ultimate strategy to saving time and money while preparing for the inevitable. You'll pay $39 one time and have lifetime access to Gorilla Home Defense System, which includes the complete set of 5 guides and free product updates for life. On top of that, you'll become a member of our survival movement. And as I continue developing and perfecting new ways to keep you in good health, shelter, and wealth, no matter what happens, I'll send you every new tactic that I discover completely free of charge. It's a bargain, isn't it? That's deliberate. I've decided that since the government is speeding up their preparations, we must start preparing big time. So I'm pricing this information-packed program for everyone, even if you're living paycheck to paycheck or on a fixed income. What's $39 when this information can save your life? Especially when you consider that when the time comes, you'll have knowledge that's so valuable, your neighbors will gladly trade you anything you want for it. I'm talking about food, water, tools, even silver and gold. For the immense value that you get, I could hardly call that a price. But remember, chaos won't wait quietly at your door until you're finally ready to stand up and protect yourself. Do you want to keep the illusion of having a normal life in the months to follow, or do you want to ensure that whatever happens, you will have the means to live like before? And even better, this power is real. All you have to do is reach for it. I promise you, it will give you great peace of mind knowing that whatever the future has in store for this country, you and your family are prepared to overcome any obstacle and live to tell the story. What you choose right now will decide your future. Click the button below this video now and grab your Gorilla Home Defense before the video ends at only $39. And I want to make this easy for you. It's a risk-free decision from your part. You're completely protected by my love it or leave it guarantee. All the risk is on my shoulders where it should be. So if for any reason you're not thrilled with Gorilla Home Defense System will do for the safety of your family, you have 60 full days and nights to send us back the manual and I'll refund every penny you paid. No questions, no hassles, just every penny back. So you really just have a simple question to ask yourself. Can you make a quick life-saving decision right now? Is the long-term safety of your family worth $39? The simple system I'm offering you will give you every skill, tactic, and technique you need to make sure your family not only survives, but also thrives when the inevitable collapse finally comes. You don't want to think back to this moment and say, why didn't I just spend the $39 that day? Things would be so much easier if I had. There's no better time than right now to take action and prepare for the harsh future. So go ahead, click the Add to Cart button and start owning that peaceful night's sleep, knowing you chose the best way to protect you and your family when the shit hits the fan.
You must